So like our first reading, I want to begin today with Barnabas. Then I want to move into the sacrament of unity and charity, and then finally opening doors. So first, Barnabas. Now, scriptural names often have a deeper significance, and Barnabas has a very cool name. His name means son of encouragement. And so to be a son of encouragement is an apostolic mission. So apostolic is someone who's sent out to proclaim good news. And so today, I want to invite all of you to consider yourselves sons and daughters of encouragement, because one of the first efforts of the missionary church was just that, to go out. And that's what Pope Francis challenged all of us to be, were missionary disciples. You know, one of the things that has happened in the United States, at least, is the church got very big, it got very organized, and it got very institutional. And so oftentimes the church was in the position of being a passive recipient of people who showed up. But that's not a missionary church. A missionary church is a church that goes out to the margins to look for and encounter those who really need to hear the good news of Jesus Christ. And that includes us as well. And so if you look in the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles and what is actually taking place as Paul and Barnabas travel around, they're moving all over the Mediterranean. They don't stay in one place. They keep moving because there are people who have not yet heard the liberating message of Jesus Christ. Now, if you want a little insight into Pope Leo, you can kind of already start to see how he's going to pick up that same theme of Pope Francis of being a missionary church. And the first way he did it was by choosing the name Leo XIV, because Leo XIV follows in succession to Leo XIII, who wrote this amazing letter called Rerum Novarum. It's challenging the whole world to a greater understanding of social justice, how the way we relate to the world around us is supposed to be the embodiment of the gospel, that we are supposed to show our faith to the world by the choices and decisions we make. And so you're going to hear more about that, but the bottom line is we need to be people committed to the person of Jesus Christ, and we need to be presenting the person of Jesus Christ to the world around us. And so when we think about being sons and daughters of encouragement, think about the people you know. Call to mind the people you know right now who are possibly sad, maybe depressed, maybe even hopeless, or find their lives not very meaningful right now. Sadly, that number is large. There are so many people who do not know what they were made for. It's kind of like Barbie. You know, the song in the Barbie movie that is absolutely haunting is the song, "I Don't Know What I Was Made For." Now, at first you think, well, it's a Barbie movie, but actually it's a much deeper significance. There is a whole world of people who do not know what they were made for. And as Christians, we not only know what we were made for, we know who made us, and we know why God made us. He made us out of love, and He made us for love, and He gave us the most amazing gift anyone could ever imagine. He gave us the gift of the sacrament of unity and charity. When we celebrate the Eucharist, we gather together and we receive the gift of God's love. And that's why we call it the sacrament of unity and charity, because Jesus gave to us in the Eucharist His very being, His essence. And He gave it to us in order to draw us together with each other and to draw us to the Lord Himself. And that's why every time we celebrate the Mass, every time we gather together in this church, we should be challenged to go out and be ministers of unity and charity, ministers of love. And the way we do that is by bringing here those places that are not yet unified and not yet full of love. You know, we don't have to come to Mass perfect. We don't show up here on Sunday because everything is great in our lives. In fact, I'd be willing to bet if we had enough time, we could go around and each of us would share stories about the different struggles we have during the week. Each of us have challenges, and especially challenges in terms of unity, of feeling connected and united with others and with God. Challenges with charity, with love, with really allowing the love of God to flow through us and touch those around us. Each of us experience those challenges on a weekly basis. And that's why we gather together here, because when we're hungry, we do dumb things. You know, when I'm hungry, I probably choose the worst food possible for myself. When I'm hungry, I don't really have the patience I need to have. When I'm hungry, I don't really think much about others, I just think about my hunger. And that's why we come here to be fed. We come here to be fed on the sacrament of unity and charity, to be built up in those two things, to be built up in love and to be built up in unity. And then we are sent out. That's why every Mass ends the same way. We're always dismissed, which is a missioning to go out into the world. You know, I know there's a few of you who've never seen the end of Mass, but here's what it looks like. There's a blessing, and then after the blessing, the Latin words ite missa est are said in English, but ite missa est just means go, the Mass is. We're all being sent out. We're being missioned to go out into the world and to live what we just received, to live unity, to live charity. And as we go out to do that, the way that we do that will open doors for others. You know, we hear that in the Acts of the Apostles, that they were celebrating how God had opened the door of faith. Well, God wants to continue to do that. It wasn't just in the Acts of the Apostles, it's today. God wants to continue to open doors of faith for others. And the way we Christians live unity and charity is that door that opens to others so that they see something different. They see what this sacrament does in us. And when they notice what this sacrament does in us, it opens a door of faith to them to ask deeper questions. These people seem to live the love they profess. Maybe I could use some of that. And so this weekend, I invite you, do that. Call to mind people you know who are struggling with unity and people who are struggling with charity, maybe even yourself. Call to mind those who seem to not know what they were made for or even who made them. Call to mind the beautiful gift we have to share, the gift of God's love for us that's given to us so that we might love one another.